So when it comes to these fun areas where you're like, hey, you're doing X, Y, and Z, and it's causing this to make me feel this X, Y, and Z. If the only response you now have for some strange ass reason is, well, why do you feel that way? And maybe that's just and I'm just a hip skirter. Yep.
Get ready, everyone. You're listening to the Hey Boo Podcast.
I like that with the chemistry, yeah. And when you vibe back, we can remedy that. I'm into energy and telling the facts. Tenderize my tendencies. Oops, they better be back. So relax, I'm on the track. This right is my home. I never ask, so you feel my tone. You in the know, oh no. Here we go again. And you said that we were only friends.
We're cheetah sisters. We stand together. Well, you're back so soon, and to that I say, you're welcome. What a time it is, back so soon, and I'm supposed to be surprised about that at this point. Even I would want to be around me. Like, come on, let's be realistic here. Wow. It's already such an amazing time to be able to spend this much time with you and such little breaks in between. I feel like last season, that whole one episode a week thing was not it. 10 episodes also crazy to think about. I don't even want to tell you how many episodes we're going to have next season because you won't be able to get rid of me. But anyways, Bookies, let's get right into things. This is going to be a spicy topic this week. I'm very excited to get into this week's episode. If you guys knew what it was like in the studio for us when it comes to just like from the beginning when it's in my notebook to the very end, when we finally get to this part and you guys get to see the final product, so much goes into it and so much happens, messes up and rewrites and rescripts and re-edits and so much stuff happens. And so like to think again, I feel like I've made this joke one time before, because you and your friend were drunk that one time and you had a couple of good retweets to your funny one-liner. I'm telling you right now, that's not enough to start a podcast. Like, as easy as the thought in your head really seems, girlie, listen, I now have one and I'm trying to sell it. So, no, I'm totally kidding. I could never sell you guys. I would keep you and make you work for me, obviously. But yeah, no, this is the Hey Boo Podcast. I am your host, Boo Boo. What the fuck? You know what I'm saying? You guys really think it's an applause. Little do you know, it's a bunch of recordings of my ass cheeks. Yeah, but no, this one's gonna be a spicy topic for us. At least I'll say, in my opinion. We all know that I always talk about mental health and things of that nature, and so something that I talk about within that mental health realm and self growth and stuff like that is accountability, baby. And let's be realistic. With the way the world is right now, that word does not hold nearly as much weight as it used to back in the day. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it was a little heavier than my ass. Not quite, but like in the same realm. You know what I'm saying? Same table, different seats. You feel me? But like these days, accountability doesn't mean like shit for shit these days. And it's kind of unfortunate because I feel like as I've grown and grown and grown and evolved, I've learned just how strong accountability really can be for not just like outward, but like inward too, for yourself. And so, it's one of those things you really got to get into because it's not either deep dived enough or like talked about enough to where like people understand how to do it, when to do it, why, how much of it, and all of the sorts. So, I feel like there's no fucking time like the present. Also, before we just get right into the stress of me being all aggressive on the internet, how was your Thanksgiving? Here, go ahead. Let me. Whoa, chatterbox. Okay. Oh, you have a mouth on you. I like that, Chatty Cathy. But yeah, no, I'm glad to hear that your Thanksgiving was good. Mine was fantastic. I'm still currently thankful to, I guess, be as beautiful as I am. I am still working on not being as angry at the world due to Trump not putting this fake money that he keeps telling everybody about in their bank account. I just want that right now. And outside of that, there is nothing else to talk about, But also in other news, and I specifically remember requesting a lot of you of the Caucasian kind to record your families about these files on Thanksgiving. I haven't been sent not one DM or a link to a stream anywhere, so I need to know, did you ruffle the feathers? Because like as a black person in Black Thanksgivings, we always clap back. Like that's a regular thing for us. I imagine you guys had a spicier time this Thanksgiving, so I'm just very curious. What was that like, Buki? Talk to me. Come on. let's have a little gander, we'll talk about it later. But yeah, no, accountability for sure. And so I don't know. I feel like it's not a hard thing to have to like break down when you make it into simplest terms and get down to like the nicks and crannies of things. But like, I guess here we like to be factual about things and not just like spit shit, into the realm of nothingness, I guess. But realistically, we can kind of break it down in the simplest terms. So realistically, accountability is technically the adverb of being accountable. By textbook definition, a person, organization, or institute required or expected to justify actions or decisions, i.e., in lamest, simple, blonde terms, more or less, if you say you're going to do something or you're going to uphold something, whether it's a behavior, an action, anything else, just be sure that you do it. And if not, you're unaccountable. You know what I'm saying? And so it's not a hard word. And then the accountability part is just the action of, being said accountable, which again, not hard. We're not in rocket science, guys. This is kindergarten, and it's so unfortunate because I feel like this is not something that's taught to kids on an easier like masses like as it should be, because and it definitely shows because most parents aren't accountable for anything these days. The last episode or last two parts of the last episode, we kind of got into those where we pick and choose where the accountable parts go and where they don't go. You know what I'm saying? So like my grandmother holding me accountable for the things she dealt with back in the day doesn't make any sense. Let's stop that. But then like my mom not being held accountable for like all the ways that she expressed emotion or discipline in a very unhealthy manner. And now to me, I'm the one on the receiving end where it's now like, okay, well, you can't even be held accountable. That wasn't discipline. That was abuse. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely topic worth going through in my opinion. So like now that we kind of had the ability to understand how the word works, how how it works and how you exercise it, how do you teach it? You know what I'm saying? Like how do you learn to be accountable for yourself or for others, whatever that means to you? You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like that part's not necessarily the difficult part, and like you don't have to go to school for this. It's not something that's like difficultly understood or wildly not understood. Realistically, what it comes down to is like if you learn to separate like discipline with accountability and scratch that word out and put like honesty in front of it instead, I'm telling you the actual practice of it significantly changes for yourself. I'm surrounded by tons of people right now who don't have a lot of motivation but don't know how to hold themselves accountable for said motivation because there's no sense of like for what else is down that way for me to go do it in the first place. And so when you get comfortable in that comfortable spots and you're stagnant, life day to day is just what that is. And so like learning to kind of hold myself more accountable of like, damn, I really want to get to places, but like I can't get there on just like a whim. I'm not gonna just get there on like a hopes and dreams. You know what I'm saying? And so like it is very important to make it baby steps before you get into the bigger steps. And so like learning that like, if you have a reward system when it comes to your accountability and like how you're going to choose to learn that yourself or teach it to yourself, cool. But then also learning that those easily obtainable gifts that you can treat yourself with are always going to be easily obtainable. You're not necessarily holding yourself all the way accountable because again, it's like, well, I know I didn't get done what I said I was going to get done, but I can still do this thing because again, it is obtainable. So that's kind of like the tricky part when it comes to, again, honesty as opposed to discipline in the realm of, accountability in itself. And so like realistically learning the growth that can happen from just holding yourself accountable, it will get to the point where you kind of notice you can do that for other people as well, or at least you can sense that and where you're like, I feel like that's something I can share with other people. And so I definitely feel like it is very important to acknowledge even the good parts that you should be accountable for. You know what I'm saying? And like noticing the work that you put into something or the efforts you put into something, and then to see what came out of that because of said work, you're holding yourself accountable. And now you're here, but you can do that in positive lights. It doesn't always have to be this like bad thing you did. Now you need to be responsible. Like it's not, you're making it deeper than it has to be. And I know some people hate that term, but like it does not have to be that deep. I promise. But yeah, no, it comes with good, it comes with bad. There has to be like this happy medium of both sides, but also like a healthy medium of both sides as well. And so I don't know. I feel like I got into a long rut in my personal life of lacking so much accountability that like I'm the king of excuses. I'll complain one way or another because I'm a certified complainer, but when it comes to excuses, I got so good at it because it was wildly like interesting how many more excuses I come up with just not doing simple things, benefit or non-benefiting me. If I didn't want to do it, I wasn't going to do it. And so these days, it's almost more of a fun trick. If I can come up with an excuse on why I shouldn't, I should also be able to come up with a reason why I should, holding myself more accountable, and then getting to see like I did that, and now look at me, now look where I am. And so it is definitely, it's a learning curve for sure, and it's not something that comes, I don't want to get ahead of myself too much, but it is something that comes, day by day, and you kind of just learn that as is. Learning the accountable parts, though, separating the good and the bad and just being able to do that as it is not, it's not as wildly complicated as people make it out to seem. You know what I'm saying? And so like when you're surrounded by people who don't necessarily give you criticism because they're not honest with you, or you're just not in circumstance where people ever tell you about yourself, which most people don't like to hear about themselves one way or another, especially people who already don't hold themselves accountable. They'd be damned if you're about to do it either. So when it comes to these fun areas where you're like, hey, you're doing X, Y, and Z, and it's causing this to make me feel this X, Y, and Z. If the only response you now have for some strange ass reason is, well, why do you feel that way? And maybe that's just and I'm just skirted it. Yep, chill out there, little guy. Okay, you're doing a little bit too much. You're getting ahead of yourself. Okay, because right now it feels like the sky is falling, and I don't have an umbrella currently, so we're gonna have to backtrack. Okay, why do you feel so attacked? If I'm saying you're doing X, Y, and Z, and your only response to that is this fucking sucks, and like I hate that like retaliation, more or less, that's not good on either parts, and it's not conducive either way either, because like now we're not getting anywhere, and there's actually no conversation. Remember, we don't actually argue to just for the sake of argument and being right. We argue to get solutions. We're gonna tussle back and forth, yeah, but like there has to be accountability both ways. So if I'm going to be accountable for my boundaries and the way that I'm going to treat myself, you have to be accountable for your actions as well. And so if I'm bringing that to your attention and I'm letting you know, hey, stop doing this, it is affecting people, and you come up with 92 other reasons on why you shouldn't do that, listen, I'm a child of somebody, and I am not violent anymore. I'm not for the streets, but they know who I am. Don't remind me of those days, okay? I got the flannel button all the way up, so y'all know I'm a real gangster like that today. For the viewers who can't watch, I got a flannel on today, and it is buttoned all the way up. I also got little hoochie daddy shorts on, but they're like the paisley, like the bandana. So I look like a thug today, right? Test my gains if you want to. No, but for real, I think it's very important to, like I said, be able to separate all the parts of accountability, good, bad, the ugly, and everything that comes with it. Because again, we're separating that. If you're going to be accountable, then there has to be discipline. I have to be like reprimanded. No, scratch that, erase, backspace. If we're going to be accountable, then we're going to backslash, honesty. There has to be honest parts on either end, on all ends, multiple faceted. So then now we kind of break things down into like these more fun areas where now it's like, well, who am I being accountable for? And then like, why am I being accountable? You know what I'm saying? Or like, how do I learn to be accountable at all points? It's very simple. When you learn to put accountability in front of actions, now each action is going to be held on kind of a surrounding area now where you decide if that accountability is like going to be the good or the bad, And so, trust me, is not as easy as it sounds, but like you learning to be accountable for you and those around you choose to surround yourself with is such an important thing to note, because if you're surrounding yourself by people who already don't give a fuck about themselves or other people around them, and then you don't also, by all means, do that. There's the accountability there. It is what it is. But surrounding yourself by like-minded individuals who are always going to push you to better yourself, it is going to almost be able to be fun to call those things out, because then it's how you're growing actual like bonding friendships that have sustenance, not just like it would be fun if kind of floater friends, as I call them. But it's like, I'm the type of guy, at least on a personal level, where I will yell at my friends and I expect them to yell at me. I had tons of friends my entire life that already didn't hold themselves accountable for their negative actions and things they did in the world, to where that rubbed off on me so way that I couldn't hold myself accountable for a single thing that I did on the planet today, tomorrow, or the next day. But then it got to the point of, befriending new people and surrounding myself by new groups as I grew older, and then getting out of certain bad habits. getting to the point where then I started to realize, I got to a point where some friends were kind of calling me out on my shit. And we're kind of like, nah, that's not why that is. Like, let's call it spade a spade. And I'm like, damn, that stings, but like, it only stings because it's true. Otherwise, I wouldn't give a fuck. You can't call me ugly because I know I'm not ugly. So I'm not just getting like, baffly, oh, why are you calling me that? You know what I'm saying? So like, that's the only reason why there's even tension in the room in the first place is because like, one thing about me, I'm the only one who can call me out. But someone else doing it, I'm like, ooh, let him cook, but not too much on me, okay? So, it's not the worst thing to have friends to call you out on your shit as you do for them. And being around people you notice can't hold themselves accountable for anything will start to get to you, I promise. And you'll almost feel like an accountable elitist kind of. Little side tangent real quick. I used to have this home chick, right? We were friends for some years. We met in the party. I only knew her to party, and then we just partied together. That was the entire friendship. We called and FaceTimed and stuff and like had conversations, but like outside of that, there was a party. She was looking for a bag, not the same one we're thinking of, and I was looking for land to buy and how to get a business. You know what I'm saying? Like we grew up into different areas. And so it definitely got to a point where I started to realize like, bro, this chick doesn't have any accountability to her name. Like there's so much about her that she just doesn't care about, that even when people do bring these things to her attention, nothing. I even to the point where I realized I was the 17th best friend to break up with her in that year. Right. Stay with me. The only thing I'll never forget from the message, that exact response is what made me almost crash out. She said, "Where is this coming from all of a sudden?" Bookie, what? Girl, you have different scenarios and different area codes. Like too many people know you coast to coast doing this Spunyan behavior. So like, I can't. If you're not gonna hold yourself accountable, I'm not gonna hold your hand when I tell you this. Okay, what I'm saying? So like, I'm gonna separate myself. That's all I can do. Because like, I'm holding myself accountable for all my actions and everything I do moving forward. You can't do that. We're not talking about the same thing, And so like, I am perfectly okay with realizing I'm doing something bad because I know it's bad in that moment, but that doesn't make it okay. Let me repeat that. You know what I'm saying? Whether we think we do or don't, or I was so angry. No. I am fully aware of all my negative actions, crash outs, and everything. I know how to hold myself accountable. That does not negate that it still was incorrect, that it was still wrong. You know what I'm saying? And that's not to say that my crash out moments are happening tenfold and this is something that I'm doing often. It's how I feel about Christianity, because it's how sins work. They're just like, well, repent, say a Hail Mary, and then like basically all that really horrible, awful things you did doesn't matter now. Null and void. You know what I'm saying? Take backsies. Bookie Bear, what? Come back. Like, let's get back to our lines because something is missing here, okay? I don't get it. I refuse to pretend like it's something that I understand, because I genuinely don't. Not like on the simplest terms or even like bigger terms than that. Like it makes zero sense to me. So you gotta learn to create those safe spaces of accountability on both sides, for you and for the ones you choose to surround yourself with, because again, it is going to be very important. And so it's something that should be practiced like at all points of practicivity. Ooh, that's probably not a word, but now they're going to have to make me a dictionary. Webster, you better get out my face. I'm coming in hot. All right. So now that we've kind of understood like the surrounding parts of those things, I feel like the next thing to kind of like, kind of pinpoint is, now when we learn the time frame of how accountability works, there's no time frame. Now let's get that out of your head. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, well, how long am I supposed to be accountable for stuff? The whole fucking, literally all of it, the entire fucking time. Like not just today and then like maybe a little bit of tomorrow and then you like take a break and then like come back and then you have the spring break. Bitch, no, the whole season, like the entire time that you're alive. For literally every action that you have in the world, put in front of the action, put in parentheses, accountability. Just remember there's going to be consequences towards said actions and you have to be held accountable for said actions because they're yours. So to think that this is something that just like goes away for some reason, or it's something that's going to like not be there because you're at a certain age, or I don't know, you think you're at a certain stature or some goofy goober shit like that. Like we just have to realize, Bookie, that is not how the world works. And that's not how your world works. Okay. There's so many people like politicians and people in the world, whether they're rich or not, who just assume that accountability just doesn't exist in their realm for some fucking odd reason. Whoever is creating these rules needs to rewrite them, because it's getting out of hand, out of pocket, Polly Pocket even. So, something that's worth the ganter, I guess. But, I feel like it's also accountability don't rub off your shoulders just because you don't see it in that first forefront moment. You know what I'm saying? It also doesn't have to be something that happens upon immediate response to you doing said action. So thinking that, well, I don't have to be held accountable because there was nothing that happened that day. Oh, trust me, Buki, if there's anything that I learned is they will make you be held accountable whether you did it or not. So careful. You might as well be held accountable for the parts that you're involved in and then not get anything else, grouped with you. You feel what I'm saying? And so, like, there is no time frame. You're doing it the entire time, and don't think that it ever goes away because you will always be held accountable your entire life for said every action. It's a little repetitive, but it's something that I feel like people for some reason forget or like don't understand. I don't want to get into like a unk speech, but like I definitely had a big dream and a big like process, mentally on wanting this everything to come to fruition the way that it has now into season 2. And something that's very important is the amount of accountability I've gotten myself to now and my editor. And so like even between the both of us, we're really good at being accountability buddies. And so like not just some of the time, but all of the time, where we've learned to create that structured of, some days we obviously lack because we're human, but it is that fun thing of like making sure, like he has a good structured time to do all the editings and has everything for me. But then I need to make sure I have all the recordings and everything for him and all my keynotes and all of our emails need to be, what I'm saying? And so being able to hold each other accountable is the only reason that this works the way that it does for as long as it has. You know what I'm saying? And so it's something it's very important, and it's why I discuss it all the time. I am currently a gym coach. I teach gymnastics and dance classes from the ages like 5 to about 16. These kids currently, I don't just teach the skill, I also teach the mentality of it. You know what I'm saying? And so accountability buddies, it's such a fun concept. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't just dance for yourself, dance for the people around you. Make sure this thing that you guys do as a group, you do as a team, you do that, the whole parts. Don't just dance for yourself. If you're going to know that you can dance for yourself, now dance for your team. If they're doing something, why aren't you doing that? Hold yourselves more accountable. If one person's lacking and you guys are noticing you're not getting to the next exercise, hold everybody accountable. Hey, buddy, like, I want to get to the dance or to the games at the end of the class. They know if I don't hold them accountable, they can hold me accountable. It's a group both ways. You know what I'm saying? Accountability buddies. And so it is very important to practice this, and I'm teaching them an actual life lesson, which they're going to learn accountability their entire way of life moving forward because of me. And so I fully understand the gravity of that word and how it should be taught, and I feel like that's something that we should, as a collective, should all be doing in the first place. So, accountability, bitches. Don't lose it. You know what I'm saying? I will also say to note, as we kind of not really circle back, but stay in that area realm where it's like if you are going to learn to hold yourself accountable and those around you and everything, and you're learning to do that consistently, for no reason at all should that ever deteriorate, change, or like, I don't know, make the way your peers view you in a negative light, decide that they don't want to be around you. If you telling your friends like, hey, I don't want to smoke weed no more, I don't want to be drinking no more, so I'm just, be more mindful, and you notice all your friends continuously offer you stuff regardless of forgetting or not, and then you're like, hey, I'm actually going to separate myself from the group just for a little bit. I can still hang out with you guys, but like, I want to keep my sobriety, and that's not respected. Get a new group. You're already not with the right people. You should have been with the new group yesterday. Girl, what you got going on? Why is you don't do all that? My best friend realized that he had to hold himself more accountable for the future that he wanted, so he did that, was in a hole by himself, and basically a room no bigger than this, and then now he's following his dream, living in it actively and doing it. The kids are inspiration. And so being that locked in and holding yourself that accountable really does get you to places you didn't think you could be before. Dreaming such big things for yourself, but holding yourself accountable to reach said dreams, that's the vision right there. That's the bar. You know what I'm saying? So set that yourself. Hold yourself more accountable. There's no reason why that should get to a point where your friends are nagging at you or, damn, bro, you can't come out for one night. Or, I'm trying to be a billionaire, bitch. No, I can't come out for one night. What you talking about? Like, either get on my face and get step aside or be somewhere you don't want to be. Be more accountable. I'm gonna keep preaching it into the ends of the earth. It just, it's something that's so fucking important to me, and it should be important to you. And even the people that I've noticed who have tried to, like, I don't know, think that I see myself differently now that I'm in the spotlight these days. I do see myself differently. You know what I'm saying? I do hold myself more accountable. So being able to snip people off quicker as opposed to keeping them around for just negative gain does nothing for me these days. Holding myself more accountable. But also people don't want to be held accountable either these days. It's such a like easier mentality to just crash out over fucking nautical nonsense because someone called you out on your shit. That's an active behavior most people have seen. Right? Right. Like, come on now. I don't know. I feel like it's something that just gets repetitive over and over again because it's easier to create excuses than it is to do literally anything else. But girly pop, I digress. Oh man, 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 man. I think it's time for a little segment break, if you ask me. All right, guys. On this fucking week's episode of Is That Lazy Writing? I feel like we should get into some fun areas. I have some things in my notes here, so I want to get to those areas first. I think we have some actually fun ones, so this is actually going to be a good one too. Oh yeah, okay, cool. So here, I'm excited. So long story short, I'm going to try to make it as short as possible. I know I say that and I tell like a 6-part story, like a Harry Potter novel, break it up into 2 parts, and then now somehow there's a book series. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, girly pop, I digress. So basically 3 friend group. They live in different states. They all went to high school together, went to college, and then separated. 2 are married, one's not. They all decided to go on a cruise. One of them mentioned the cruise in a group chat. They all bought their tickets. It was all inclusive. They did the thing. It was whatever. They like kind of gifted each other stuff randomly throughout like the whole cruise. The last night of the cruise, they were like, man, tonight's fun. This is the ball. It was a movie. Love that. One of the girls gifts the other 2 girls 2 plane tickets to like overseas, like in Europe or whatever. Right. So they're like, yeah, bitch, we're doing that next year. Like, that's going to be so exciting. Like, I'll see y'all then. And they're like, cool. Because, again, different states. So then some time goes by. All the 3 girls just reminiscing and shit, living, blissfully. Well, tell me why one of the homegirls, the 3rd girl who's not married, I guess, is now getting married. But, like, the other 2 girls had no, like, clue of this. So they get added to a group chat with, like, 60 other women, right? The head honcho and then some other chick who I'm guessing is like the maid of honor is like, hey, can everybody send in their money for the deposits for this? You guys will need to get fitted for this, and you'll have to pay for your dresses. So then the 2 girls go into like their own group chat like, bitches, we missing something? Like, what is this hoe talking about? Like, this, we don't have wedding invites. Like, we must be in the wrong group chat. And so then like they're looking at their names and kind of recognize a couple of people, but they're like, no, not really. And then they get to like the head honcho and they're like, bitch, you're getting married. So they add home chick to a thing, and they're like, hey, context, what's going on? And she's like, oh, yep, sorry. It was a wedding invitation. You're like, remember when I gave you guys the plane tickets? And so they're like, no, bitch. Like, I thought we was just having a girls' gander time. Like, the girls take Europe. Is that not what's happening? And she was like, oh, well, I mean, like, yeah, but like, it's obviously for my wedding. And they're like, well, obviously that wasn't, what the fuck do you mean, obviously? And so then, like, I guess it gets to a point where they kind of tell the girl, like, well, we're not going to go or, like, pay for any of this stuff. Like, we didn't plan on it. One of the girls has ended up, like, pregnant, and she's about to have a baby soon. And so, like, it's like a whole thing. So then the main chick who's getting married crashes out on them and is like, well, you guys are selfish bitches. I hate you both. Like, I can't believe this. Like all I did for you, and then, whatever. And so then they're like, okay, well, like, don't worry about it. Like, take the plane ticket back. Like, it's no big deal. And so then the 2 girls are like, damn, that's crazy. Who would have thunk? And so then the girl's like, no, bitch, like, fuck that. Y'all are going to give me money for the 2 plane tickets. Like, each of you, or not, like 1 plane ticket. So then both of them, the girls, is like, girl, you're the craziest heifer in the whole wide fucking world. Like, quite literally the craziest girl in the world, right? Here's where it gets interesting. And so the 2 girls, obviously, they all part ways or whatever, because they're like, damn, that's crazy. Like, this bitch is crashing out, trying to get money out of us, whatever. So the main girl tries to take them to small claims court. Doesn't work that way because they all live in different states anyways. And it's under like a certain amount, so like that's just not how it works. But due to like the time and like having to like actually go to like whatever do they had to do, one of the girls told the whole story on TikTok, which, by the way, this story is also told by Trish DFBF on TikTok. She's the one who gave me the story. Love you, Trish. You're amazing. But she is telling this whole story and everything. It's she tells the whole story on her TikTok, which was amazing. You guys should go watch it. Telling the whole story on TikTok. Does like 3 story times. It gets publicly like enough public publicity where now like she's just like, yeah, it's really annoying, giving us a headache. Like, we have to go through all this court stuff, whatever. It gets now somebody in the grapevine finds the like main girl who's causing all the issues, found her like job and stuff. Long story short, she loses her job because you shouldn't play on the internet like that anyways. For just like all this negative beef and causing internet drama and stuff like that. I'm kind of skipping over the story, but like basically the main girl was like also talking shit on the internet, also made like a rebuttal story, and it blew up more than it had to. Well, long story short, that girl TikTok up banned, not Trish, but the other girl. It's like this whole thing, so it's like really funny. But they're basically asking me like, is it lazy writing that like I even told the story on TikTok because technically that's the only reason why it got to the level that it did. I think you wrote, ate, and slaved down, puss the house down boots, or whatever the kids say these days. Girl, I think you did your biggest one. I feel like these days bitches need to realize that like, again, be held, and look at right on topic too. We love that. Be held accountable. Hold these bitches accountable. If you're gonna cause all this mishap and disarray over little shit that really ain't got nothing to do with nobody else but you, but yet all these extra people are involved in that, that's gonna be annoying every single time. Every single time. And my biggest thing, especially noticing that I work on the internet, negative comments are forever, and I screenshot stuff crazily. So like the fact that bitches wouldn't think otherwise before commenting or saying crazy stuff to me is, oh, it's a little baffling. But look, I only have so much time in my day, you know what I'm saying? So I try to tread lightly with the things that I can tread lightly with because it gives me a headache. But no, I think you did your biggest one personally. No, I love that where this little segment break is really building more traction, which is pretty amazing, and it's good to see that you guys are more invested in that. So yeah, moving into next week, please let me know. Send those stories over to the Instagram or over to the TikTok that's going to be at the Hey Boo PC. So yeah, no, fucking do that, please, because I love the interaction. Whether you want to DM me or whether you want to comment it on a video, I don't really give a fuck. If you don't want to be public, you can also DM me, and then I'll anonymously tell your story. Something else I would like to know, and I probably want to get a Reddit for this at some point too, because if it builds attraction enough to where we can get somewhere, then by all means. But I don't want to be sitting there building it, and then it's me in a group chat by myself with me, myself, and I, like the Beyonce song. But like how fitting, like the bit. You see what I did there? Yeah. If you couldn't see the inside joke, it's because you're lame and you don't watch the YouTube. So go subscribe there, and then maybe you'll get to see all the cool stuff everyone else does. No, but that's the end of that segment. Yeah, girly pop. But like, I feel like there's so many facets to accountability that are important to note, but they're not like these wildly ununderstood concepts to now where people just don't understand how to exercise them in any way. Because I feel like it's not hard to get to a point of just like really realizing that, like, I don't know, you should be accountable for the parts that you don't even realize you're being accountable for. But I feel like, okay, there's also a big part I feel like I have to break down too. I don't want to like jump around too much. When it comes to being accountable, that doesn't just necessarily mean say sorry. Accountability and rectification, two different things, Buki. That's not like one and the same. And so like, if you're actually going to be held accountable, then add the rectification after said accountability, only apologizing for behaviors that you displayed only because you realize that they caused me discomfort. So like, i.e. saying shit like, hey, I'm sorry that you're upset. I don't want to upset you. Don't be upset anymore. Are we good? It's not a fucking apology. Because realistically, it's like, yeah, I'm not upset just because I fucking feel like it, Sherlock Holmes. Obviously, you didn't do your research. No, I'm mad because of X, Y, and Z or whatever negative behaviors you're displaying that are making me now feel like it's only receptive to crash the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, it's not like a hard concept, again, to understand. Like, I can't express enough. It's not rocket science. This is something I teach to 5-year-olds, and they completely can explain accountability to other students. I've watched it happen. So, right. Work with me here. If you're going to apologize for any behavior or hold yourself accountable, ask more questions. Before you even get to the apology, one, be held accountable first. And just be like, all right, so I am starting to realize maybe I do these things. Or if you don't know genuinely, which most people know what the fuck they're doing, let's not play no games. But if, let's say there is the 1 in the 5th person who genuinely didn't realize what they were doing was affecting you in that specific way. If that's now brought to your attention and you are asking questions, not out of belittling a person, but for genuine education and curiosity, cool. Then follow that up with an apology. Hey, I didn't even realize I was doing that. Or honestly, I didn't even realize it affected you to this degree. So I do want to give you an apology because that's not okay. And I feel like, I should be more mindful of my actions as I am as my own person. This is not rocket science. I promise you. It's a lot easier than it looks. But again, replacing that discipline or like some type of like rectification, not even as rectification, but like if I'm going to be accountable, then I'm also going to be in trouble. No, those aren't the same thing necessarily. Put honesty there instead, just be more truthful about the actions, like the everything behind what you're doing. Because realistically, unchanged behavior is not a solution. So there's no point in being held accountable for something you don't even think that is wrong in the first place, or something you're going to continue to do. Because to have someone have to repeat the same issue to you, and then you, I think for me, there's like a couple of key phrases that I can't fucking stand when it comes to like having a serious conversation with somebody. Let's say it's the boyfriend or something, and you go, "Hey babe, can we talk?" And they say one of the phrases, "What did I do now? It's probably my fault, but what happened?" Or anything of that sort. Leave him. No, leave him. Go be somewhere else. Because what the fuck do you mean? Eeyore? Like, I didn't even say you did anything. I said I wanted to have a conversation. It could have been to, like, hype you up. And you talking about, what did I do now? All that tells me is you put yourself more in the hot seat than anyone else could in your entire life. That makes zero sense to me. But that also displays that you don't plan to change any of the actual actions that you're displaying in the first place. Unchanged behavior is not a solution. Therefore, accountability is null and void. It no longer matters. It's not a part of the plot anymore. You know what I'm saying? And so like me, I enjoy when I do talk shit on the internet and a couple of my friends decide to call me a week later and then they're like, "Hey, I realized X, Y, and Z." And I'm like, damn, the shoe was fitting, but at least the accountability is there and you're holding yourself more accountable. It wasn't for you, but the fact that you knew it had something to do with you is like, okay, cool. And then not to say that I'm out subbing my friends. No, I mean, it's not that deep, but it is kind of interesting that when you do hold so much motion and people want to respect that motion and they see the accountable parts of you and their others, it is easier for them to kind of follow suit. Surround yourself by those you want to be like, remember? So learning to, be in that same accountable space with the other accountable people, it's like, damn, he called it like he sees it, and you know what I'm saying? And that is what I've been displaying. I might as well up and do something different. You feel me? So yeah, it's fun when you can see it, but it is something that has to be broken down and take time. Let's not, irrationalize this stuff either. Because like it's not just something you're just gonna like learn to do overnight. And this is the part that I was saying, in the beginning of the episode, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Changed behavior or even learning to be accountable is not an overnight venture. It's something that's going to take time. You're going to constantly be doing this endeavor over and over and over again. Learning to relax, learning to just like live in that now, but also learn how to be accountable in just the smaller parts. If I say I'm going to get up every day and go to the gym, cool, do that. Don't beat yourself up if the one day you don't go, but also don't make it a habit. Be accountable. I didn't go, but I'm going to go tomorrow. I know I didn't go today. That's not hard, you know what I'm saying? And being able to take the accountable parts of like, no, I'm going to take more time for me and not do work. All right. But at least then when you do know you have a larger workload, just be accountable for the workload, do it and get it over with. Don't complain about it. You know what I'm saying? So it's not hard, but the change behavior does have to come slow. It has to come day by day. But, and with no actual motion or energy put into said wanting to change, there's no change. If somebody asks you, "Hey, what are you doing?" or "How are you doing to like grow in these parts in your life?" and you say, "I don't know," then you're not doing it. That sounds silly. I could never imagine someone being like, "Hey, I heard you've been working on that big thing in your life. How's that coming along?" And I said, "I don't know." I'm like, "Yeah, but aren't you working on it like day in, day out?" They're like, "Hey, what does that look like?" I go, "I don't have my glasses on. Couldn't tell you." And they go, "What are your practices?" I go, "I've never practiced anything a day in my life." Wouldn't that sound fucking crazy to you? Right. Like it gets sillier and sillier, silly goofier even, one could even say, where it's just, I don't know. It's not hard to be accountable, but it's also not hard to understand what parts you're working on of the accountable parts. You know what I'm saying? Or the things that you're working on in general. Because realistically, if you only have I don't know to every answer of me just trying to follow up on something you're trying to grow on, you're not even holding yourself accountable enough to actually learn said thing or do it. That sounds like lazy writing. It feels dumb. It feels played out, if you will. You know what I'm saying? It's just not as organically wild as I'd like it to be. But hey, we're here now. We're queer now. I guess somebody has to get used to it, whether it's me or you. But, it's going to take time. You guys have to realize that. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. And as we learn to hold ourselves more accountable, the accountability parts will come. Oh, man. What a time, girly pop. I feel like this is one of those topics I take so personally because learning to even take myself accountable for the parts of me is a very hard thing to do. And so as I watch you do it with yourself now, boom, as I watch you do it with yourself now, girl, let me sit, let me quit. But no, definitely something to think about for sure. What a fun episode. Yeah, we got into the deep dive of things and nicks and the crannies and really understood how this word works in the real world and with you and how it is in your day and day. And so very important. Yeah, fucking let's get into the music of the week. I'm not gonna lie, outside of like Christmas music, because the dance studio I work for is teaching. They have a pageant next month, so I cannot wait to get over. Because I'm not really the biggest fan of Christmas music. Don't get. Hey, listen. I didn't say I hated it. I'm just not like, oh, this much is a lot on my medulla. I'm gonna say Fred again. Realistically, oh, I went and saw Wicked for Good. So it has been show tunes. I have been playing a little bit of show tunes. But yeah, that's about it. What about you guys? You let me know your music of the week as per usual. Mental health check of the week. Could you imagine? I have so many intros and little shenanigans. I feel like that should be one more shenanigan. I should do a backflip into the mental health checks. Could you imagine? Then I would never come back. Are you holding yourself accountable? No, really. Don't go too far. Right. And then let me know. Think on that one, okay? Thank you for upholding the baddie title. I've been seeing you and I've been watching you. I am kind of a stalker on the internet. Gotta be careful with my words like that. I'm already a man, girl. Ooh, with a podcast at that. That's strike two. But yeah, no, I see you working, and I see y'all doing the thing. It's cool. As much shit as I do talk about like the grand world, I do want to uphold the people that I do see doing the thing. And so it is very cool to say, I'm proud of you. And if your dad didn't tell you, I'll tell you. I'm proud of you. No, but what a fun episode. This is a fun time. I am just over the moon. We're getting closer to Christmas. I'm moving relatively soon. As I have been in the last couple of episodes, I will still continue to add resources on where to find food and food shelters and things of that nature to get fed for the holidays. Also, full transparency before we end the episode. So for a lot that, we've been kind of mentioning, I am moving states from Arizona to Colorado. I work solely on two devices, my phone and then my GoPro and then my iPad here. I'm not asking for handouts, but I would like to, full transparency. It is a lot of work to do what I do, how I do it, but I am able to get it done, with the powers of Grayskull and the help of my editor, / executive producer, Mr. Zan. So it is definitely cool to see what I've been able to do, but I would like to get more organized into areas. So outside of just the move, I do have a GoFundMe trying to fund a laptop and my move. If you ever feel so generous, by all means do that. If you don't, girl, don't. I mean, if you want to dance battle for it, I'll earn that. What's up? Because I'll, you know what I'm saying? I dance like that. But you know what I'm saying? If that's something you feel generous about, by all means, the GoFundMe will be linked below. Everything does help. But I appreciate y'all. Y'all are cool as fuck. Tight like a butthole, as some would say. Next week's episode is going to be pretty fun. We're really getting into these. I feel like this week we really got into the shits in the beginning and didn't make no breaks. So it has been a fun time. Even my editor was kind of saying the same thing. Like, you're really getting into the heavier stuff, and I'm like, heavy like what? This ass? Let me quit. But yeah, next week we're gonna deep dive some gay topics. We're gonna deep dive what it is to separate a homosexual man to wanting to be a woman. Oh, right. Yeah. See, because those are the fun ones. But yeah, no, peep that as usual. Next episode will be on Mondays and Fridays at 2 p.m. as per usual. How are we liking this 2 episodes a week kind of feel? Do we fucking are we jucking and jiving? What's the vibes? Do we want more episodes even? Because I can do that, but I can already feel the stress of me and my editor as it is right now. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But as it is, may be, c'est la vie. No, let me quit. This is the Hey Boo podcast. I am your amazing host, Boo Boo. Don't forget to wash your ass today, girl.
Get ready, everyone. You're listening to the Hey Boo Podcast.
I like that when the